Hey guys, Zach with TrendSpider here. Going to give you guys a complete overview of the TrendSpider system from start to finish. We're going to talk about everything from the auto trends to the multi-timeframe analysis, multi-factor alerts, dynamic alerts, backtesting, Fibonacci's. All this stuff we're going to cover, and we're going to just do a complete, basically on-demand demo. So for all those new users, stick around, watch the entire video, and just try and stay with me. It'll be a little bit longer than our normal videos, but this is meant to do a complete overview of the whole system so you get completely familiarized with the platform. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to first talk about the trends. So what's going on in the background of every single TrendSpider chart when you've got your trends button turned on and our show trends feature on most relevant is TrendSpider is finding every possible trend line it can, scoring each trend, and then putting the top 1% scoring trends on your screen. So that's what we're looking at right now. Now we've also got this other filters called more lines or all are unfiltered in this drop down. If I go to more lines, it's going to show you that top 1% plus a few other trend lines that don't violate price as much. So if you wanted to add any one of these lines to the screen for whatever reason, you could by simply double clicking on it or right clicking and hitting lock this trend line. It'll lock that trend into the chart. If I go back to most relevant, those other yellow lines disappear. That green line we've locked is on the trend, is on the chart. Then we've also got the all or unfiltered. Again, you can do the same thing. Double click, lock any one of these lines on the screen. It'll lock that line on the chart, go back to most relevant. Those other lines disappear. That one we've locked in is on the chart. Now, we want users to stay on most relevant 99% of the time. Only reason why we're going to go to these other two filters is if we're curious about what other lines our algorithms are finding, but leaving off the screen. Then you've also got your truth and analysis timestamp, and this is marked by a yellow tab on the dark theme charts and a blue tab on the white theme charts. And on this particular chart, it's down here in the bottom right, it says truth and analysis timestamp August 27th, 10:45 my time. So basically what this is saying is that on August 27th, 10:45 a.m., TrendSpider drew these trend lines on this chart. So just a few minutes ago in this on this particular chart. Well, this is important to TrendSpider's fundamentals because we want to see how these trend lines perform. So you can see that these trend lines are holding up. So I might not want to update this truth and analysis line just yet. We want to see if these trends get retested again and maybe act as another area of resistance. Well, if I go to another chart that I haven't looked at for a little bit here, for example, the S&P, and I go back to, let's say, a 15-minute chart, you can see that my truth and analysis timestamp is all the way back here on August 14th, 1:09 my time. So basically, this is the last time that TrendSpider drew these trend lines, and this also refers to Fibonacci's as well on this chart. So you can see everything to the right of this point in time, all this past recent price action that's happened over the last week or so, TrendSpider hasn't taken into account, and it hasn't drawn its analysis based on that. And you can actually see here a few times where TrendSpider's trend lines have been have been tested and acted as an area of support. So that's a little bit of a real-time use case for TrendSpider there. But let's go ahead and update these trend lines. I'm going to go hover over that truth line, click this refresh and lock button. It's going to take into account all that new price action and draw some new trend lines based on that for us. So this is that new that analysis that TrendSpider has taken into account all the new price action and has drawn some new trends based on that. So that's the truth and analysis line, and that's the show trends. Then you've also got your trend preferences, and you can access those by clicking on the three dots right next to our trends button here. And you've got analysis type, drawing input, and gaps. Right now we're on analysis type original with drawing input on wicks and gaps ignored. Analysis type original is mainly going to give you those longer term trends on the chart, and it's also going to give you the least amount of trend lines on your screen. So that's what we're looking at right now, and I generally recommend analysis type original for beginning users. It'll definitely give you the cleanest chart out there, and you just won't have to make as many decisions on your end. Then you've got enhanced, and this is for more advanced users. This analysis type, you're going to have to come in here and manually pick which trends you want on and off your screen. You can do that quickly by holding down shift and then just left clicking on the lines that you think are relevant to the chart. And you can see here, just holding down shift and left clicking through my chart, and we're deleting these trends that I don't want off my screen. Now, this, like I said, definitely for more advanced users because you're going to have to manually make more decisions on the chart itself. Then you've also got experimental, and this is going to be a variation between original and enhanced. It's going to give you those long as well as shorter term trends, and it's going to just give you less trend lines than you normally would on enhanced. So I recommend this analysis type for more beginning users as well, as it'll just make most of the decisions for you, right? You won't have to come in here and manually choose which trends you want on and off your screen. Generally, you only have to delete 1 or 2 instead of like 5 or 6. So this is also going to focus more on those longer and shorter term trends, and like I said, it's a variation between those 2 types. Then you've also got the drawing input you can change. So we've got drawing input set to wicks right now. We can change that to the bodies, hit apply. Can see how the analysis on the ticker changes a little bit, and we're drawing these trend lines from the opening and closing price actions instead of the highs and the lows. Then you've also got this thing called gaps respected or ignored, and right now we're ignoring gaps in price. Well, if I change this to respect and hit apply, you'll see the analysis on this particular ticker doesn't change too much, but you'll see that TrendSpider is detecting a gap in price when this bottom line here changes colors from black to white or from white to black. But if we go to a chart that this does affect our analysis, let's go to maybe the SPY chart here. So right now we're ignoring gaps in price. Well, if I go to respect, hit apply, you'll see the chart completely changes here, and this is affecting our analysis on the ticker. The thought behind the gap detection is that once a price gaps up or down, there's new information within that price that caused that price to gap. So we want to draw trends from that new price action only. We don't want to connect trend lines across these gaps in price. We want to draw trends from within that, what we call island of price action. So that's what's going on when you're respecting or ignoring gaps. So as you can see, you can tell when we're detecting those gaps here, when these bottom lines here are changing colors. And then if I go to ignore gaps in price, you can see those trends change, and we're drawing trend lines across those gaps. So something to note with TrendSpider, and you've got those options. So that's the truth and analysis, that's the show trends, and that's the trend preferences. Then we can go ahead and talk about the indicators and the multi-timeframe analysis. I've already got a few indicators on my screen here. I just clicked the 3 dots right next to indicators. This manage indicators tab pops up. I've got volume, a few moving averages, RSI, stochastics. You've also got this other indicators here on the left side. All you got to do to add some is just click on them. Let's say Bollinger Bands. It'll add to your manage indicators list. Hit apply, and get added to the screen here. So we've got a basic chart set up. I'm going to take off these Bollinger Bands here, but we've got 2 moving averages, RSI, stochastics, and volume on our chart. Nothing too crazy. Now, what we can do with TrendSpider that you can't normally do with most other platforms is use this multi-timeframe analysis capability up here in the top left-hand corner. So if I click on MTFA, it's going to overlay a bunch of dotted lines on my screen on top of my 5-minute chart here. And so you can see this 5-minute versus 2 hour up here in the top left. So what this is saying is that we're on the 5-minute chart, but we're overlaying the 2 hour indicators on top of our 5-minute chart here. And that's all represented by the dotted lines on my screen. So this dotted line here, this is our 2 hour trend line. These other moving averages here, these are our 2 hour EMAs, right? And then these solid lines here, these are my 5-minute moving averages, 5-minute trend lines. And same thing for RSI and stochastics. Dotted lines are the 2 hour, solid lines are the 5-minute time frame. Now, the reason why we do this is because long-term trends affect short-term price. So, for example, you can see here, even on this 5-minute chart, when we were looking at the 5-minute Tesla chart, you can see that this 2 hour moving average came in and acted as an area of resistance for price here. So if I wanted to kind of create an alert on this moving average here, or one of these trend lines for that matter, I could by simply right-clicking on one of these trend lines or moving averages and say create an alert at this line. We could watch for a breakthrough touch or bounce off of that moving average there. I could even set a price sensitivity to it as well. So you could say alert me within 20-30 cents of this moving average, just in case price comes really close but doesn't actually touch it. We can still get that alert. Or you could say no, alert me when price hits this line exactly. Then we can go up to a 5-minute confirmation on this. So this is going to wait for the 5-minute candle to close before texting or emailing us this alert. If you wanted a longer confirmation period, let's say we were swing trading this or value trading this, we wanted to confirm the breakout on the 1-hour time frame, you could do that as well. You could change the alert name, set a description, set how long you want this alert to be active for, how many times you want this to trigger, create the alert. It's going to be living in our system here in the bottom right in our list of alerts here. Now, that's just one alert that we offer on the platform, and that's the dynamic alerts. And you can create that alert on any one of the lines on the screen here for that matter, any one of these trend lines, any fib levels, any lines that you draw out yourself, which I'll show you guys how to do in a second. But we've also got a second type of alert called a multi-factor alert, and this alert is accessed by clicking on the Create Alerts button, click on Multi-Factor Alert. And what this alert allows us to do is create multiple conditions met before an alert is texted or emailed to our phone. So, for example, if I wanted an alert when a few moving averages crossed, or RSI was above or below a certain level, above average volume, stochastics were bullish, MACD was bullish, a candlestick pattern had formed, any or all of those conditions, we could wait for them to be met. So we can go ahead and access this alert by clicking on the Create Alert button here. We can start making this alert up by clicking on Add Parameter, say Condition. And we'll go ahead and say, alert me when my 5-minute indicator EMA 9 has crossed up on my indicator 5-minute EMA 20. Right? Well, not only could I wait for that cross to happen, but I could also go ahead and say, alert me when my 5-minute stochastic K is also bullish and greater than my stochastic D, right? And then I could keep going with these conditions. We could do a volume condition on this as well. So I could say, alert me when my volume is greater than, when those conditions are met and my volume is greater than my volume moving average. We could also do an RSI condition. You could do for, not only do I want my 9 to have crossed the 20, but I also want my 5-minute price to the close to at least be greater than the 5-minute EMA 9 as well as those conditions. And we could add other conditions from other time frames as well. You could change this volume condition to a 30-minute condition, right? So I want my 30-minute volume to be above the average, not just my 5-minute, and I could keep adding conditions to this. So you could also say, TrendSpider, alert me on all the following conditions or any of the following conditions on this chart, on this multi-factor alert as well. So you've got that option to scan for a few different conditions being met. So let's say that this is our alert and we wanted to go ahead and save this as a template for future alerts. Well, you can do that by clicking the 3 dots here, click Save as Template, and this new template manager pops up. And we can go ahead and create a name for this template. We'll just say EMA cross with stochastics and volume. Just say dash volume, right? And if you notice here on the left side of my screen, I've also got a bunch of templates here with a bunch of these hashtags. And what this hashtag system is for is to basically organize your templates into some categories so you don't lose them. So for example, this is a bullish strategy. We'll go ahead and say hashtag bullish, and this is going to be tagged to that hashtag. So for example, if I look this up, hashtag bullish, it's going to pull up with all my other bullish strategies. And we could keep on adding hashtags to this, and you can name any, whatever hashtags you want to this. So we'll say hashtag stochastics, hashtag volume, and then we'll say hashtag EMA, since it's also an EMA strategy as well. And I'm just going to go ahead and save this, right? Click Save. It's going to go ahead and save those conditions under that template for me. Now, if I went ahead and deleted these conditions for whatever reason to add them back, all I need to do is click the 3 dots here, load from my template library, and I can look it up one of two ways. I can look it up by the name of the template that I just made, or I could look it up by the hashtags. It's right here at the very bottom of this little of this page here. But let's just showcase the hashtag system here. We'll say hashtag bullish, hashtag stochastics, right? So everything with that hashtag is going to be on there. Hashtag volume. You can see pops up with my with my hashtags here. Select the template, and it's going to load those conditions onto my multi-factor alert without me having to write them over again. Right? I can then set up the expiration, how many times you want this to trigger, create the alert, and it's going to be living in our system here in the bottom right. Now, we can also go ahead and quickly create this alert on a bunch of different tickers by simply clicking on the next ticker we want to create this alert on. For example, Twitter. Hover over the alert we just made on Tesla. So notice how when I hover over the alert, these 4 icons appear to the right of that. Click on this page looking icon here. It's going to clone the alert the same exact way we made it on Tesla onto Twitter. All I need to do is hit create alert and we're good to go. I can then continue on down my watch list. I don't even have to click onto my watch list. I can type in the ticker on the top left as well. Hover over the Twitter alert, hit that clone button, create the alert, and we're good to go, right? Go to UAL, do the same thing. And we can go down my entire watch list, creating this alert as I go. Now, keep in mind we're going to add a third type of alert here in the future. It's not available right now, but we're going to go ahead and very soon add a watch list alert, and you'll be able to say, TrendSpider, alert me on my entire watch list when these conditions are met. Now, that feature isn't available at the moment, but something we plan on adding really soon. So that's the multi-factor alerts, and that's how you can clone these alerts onto a bunch of different tickers very quickly. Now, you can also go ahead and backtest these alerts to see if they would have made you money in the past. You can do that by hovering over the pencil icon here and click on it. Hover over the alert, click on this pencil icon. It's going to open up our multi-factor alert. Notice how we have a test this strategy button at the bottom of the multi-factor alert. We'll click test this strategy, say as an entry since this was a bullish strategy. And it's going to open up my strategy tester with those with the conditions that were in the multi-factor alert already in the bottom left-hand corner of my screen. Now notice how all of these time frames have been switched to the 1 hour time frame, and it's all one time frame, and that's because our strategy tester cannot backtest multi-time frame strategy at the moment. Something we're going to add soon. But for now we can only do single time frame strategies, and notice how it's tied into this time frame setting up here in the top top left hand corner of the strategy tester. So this basically determines the time frames on your strategy tester. So we'll just do the 5-minute chart since we were on the 5-minute a second ago. And so the way to look at the strategy tester is the left side is our entry side, the right side is our exit conditions. So we're going to go ahead and test the strategy of buying when the 9 crosses up on the 20. Stochastics are bullish, volumes above the average, and prices at least above that 9. And then we're going to go ahead and our sell condition can be either a script, which it is right now, or a number of candles later. We'll just do a script, and I'm going to delete the sell condition. I'm going to make a new one. I'm going to say we're going to sell when the 9 crosses back down on the 5-minute 20 here. And then you've got a few settings to mess around with in the strategy tester. Like I said before, you've got the time frames of which you want to test, the analysis depth, so how far back do you want to back test the strategy, the chart itself, which is generally 300 candles, shallow 2,000, medium 3,000, deep 7,000 candles, and then you've got the trade by price. So what are we going to theoretically execute these trades at? The open, high, low close of a candle or any of those averages. We're just going to do the close, and we're going to go ahead and hit test and see how we would have done on this particular ticker. So you can see here we analyzed 25 positions across 2 months of UAL data, just under 3,000 candles with a mean trade return of negative 0.11%. So basically what this is saying is that our average trade return was negative 0.11%, so not a great strategy. And you can also see we've got a performance chart here on the right side of our screen. So if I maximize this, it's going to maximize our performance chart. The white line is UAL's performance over the last, I believe, month and a half or so. 2 months, sorry. And then the blue line is the portfolio's performance over the last 2 months or so. So you can see here, if we follow this white line down to the very bottom right, you can see that if we would have bought and held UAL over this last 2 months, we would have lost 7.5% of our money. While if we would have tried to trade it on this strategy with these buy and sell conditions, we would have only lost 3% of our money. Now keep in mind this is a compounding strategy, so we just assume that you're going into the wins or losses of your within the next trade of your last trade. So the wins or losses of your last trade, we're going into the new trade with those. So a compounding strategy in that sense. Then you've also got your price behavior explorer here on the left side of my screen. This just gives you some statistics on your trades. So if I hover over one of these points on the chart and I read it off to you, it says mean percent change after 31 candles was positive 0.71%. So basically what this is saying is that for the positions that lasted 31 candles or more, they generally averaged you around a 0.71% return, positive return. Well, this is a kind of small sample size. It's only 25 positions or trades, so this might not be the best statistically significant line here, but we'll just go ahead and run with it. We'll go ahead and add this number of positions down here in the bottom of our Price Behavior Explorer. It's going to add a white sloped line into the screen, and this just represents the number of positions that are open at that point in time. So we started up here at 25 because we had 25 trades in total. Then you can see as the number of candles increase, our white line goes down, and our number of positions that are open at that time slowly start to go down and close. So you can see here, by the time we get to this 31 or 30 candle mark, you can see more than half of our positions have closed. We're only about 6 positions open at this time. So not a lot of positions were making it this far. And this could tell you, one thing or the other about a strategy. Maybe we're not hanging on to our winners long enough, or maybe we're entering on not so great conditions, so therefore we're not having as many winners open for longer periods of times. So just something that kind of gives you a little bit more perspective on your positions. You've also got this white dotted line here below the blue line. This is our random control line. So it's a strategy. So it's a bot that basically randomly buys and sells alongside your strategy. Basically, you just want to make sure that your blue line is at least beating that white dotted line, because if it's not, it's probably not a good strategy. And you've also got a few other things here you guys can check out. You got median percent change. You've also got min and max range of the trades going on at the time. And then this blue faded range is the 25th and 75th percentile as well. So that's the Price Behavior Explorer. That's the performance chart. You've also got a few other options here, like this See on Chart option. So if I click See on Chart, it's actually going to show you where on the chart itself we would have entered and exited on this particular strategy here. So you can see entry, exit, and then the percentage lost or gained there. Keep in mind these arrows will stay on your screen if you do not delete them, so right click and hit remove all execution marks. It'll take them off your screen. Then you've also got this download CSV option. So if you click download CSV, click on one of these options, it's going to download an Excel sheet into your computer. You can open that Excel and go ahead and look at every single one of these trades. Entry date, entry price, exit date, exit price, max gain, max drawdown. Everything about those trades can be all on that Excel. Now, cool thing with TrendSpider is that we can literally just click on the next ticker we want to go ahead and backtest the strategy on. TrendSpider is going to automatically backtest the strategy and do its trend analysis on the ticker all at the same time. And I literally don't even have to click on the watch list. I can just use my arrow pad, and that's what I'm doing right now. Going up my watch list, backtesting the strategy as we go. Right? So we can look for some winners that way. Really fast, really simple, really easy. So that's the strategy tester, you guys. Then we've also got our auto fibs, heat maps, candlestick pattern recognition, and some drawing features here we're going to go over. So auto fibs, the way these work is you go ahead and turn them on. TrendSpider is going to go ahead and measure the most recent complete move and then plot a Fibonacci retracement. Keep in mind this is locked in that truth and analysis line, so in order to get this most up-to-date recent Fibonacci, we're going to just refresh and lock. Go ahead and take into account that new price action. Now sometimes TrendSpider is just waiting for this move to complete. You can also go ahead and edit some of these fib settings inside because they're locked into the trend preferences. So if I go to analysis type enhanced or experimental, we're going to get some different fibs as well. So you can see our fibs moved up a little bit. We're measuring move from 213 to 218, plotted to retrace into the 216 area. You can right click, create an alert at this line. watch for a breakthrough, touch, or bounce. You can create alerts on any of these different fib levels. Then you've also got the ability to draw your own fibs as well. So if you wanted to draw your own fibs, hover over draw, click on your fib sequence, and then click 2 points on the chart here. TrendSpider will go ahead and automatically draw that fib sequence based on your 2 points. And you can, again, right-click, create an alert on any one of these drawings. You can also double-click or right-click and hit Properties. It's going to open up this fib sequence menu here, Properties menu, and you can edit the fib levels that are on your screen. You can go ahead and add levels, delete levels, edit the levels themselves, change the color of the lines, right? Change the thickness of the lines. And TrendSpider will save all these settings, so the next time that you draw these fibs, you don't have to keep on coming in here and re-editing the settings here. It's going to be all saved to your fib sequence. So those are the fibs. Then you've also got your heat maps, and we've got a few different types. You've got horizontal, depth, and trends, and also volume by price. So horizontal is going to find some areas of consolidation on the chart and then plot it forward on the screen here. Sometimes you'll find more of these areas, sometimes you'll find less of these areas. It just depends on the chart and the time frame that you're looking at. Here you can see on Tilray, we're finding a lot more areas than we were on Tesla. It just depends on the chart. So these are like horizontal levels of support and resistance. Then you've also got your depth heat map, and this is like a cloud-based system for support and resistance. Bright red areas above price are going to be like a cloud of resistance. Bright red areas below price is going to be like a cloud of support, and then notice how price is moving through the darker areas on the chart here. Then you've also got your trends heat map type, and this is an interesting type. This follows our all or unfiltered version of TrendSpider. So it follows every single one of our algorithms that are finding trend lines on the chart with a red faded line. And then what happens is these trend lines start to intersect and create these bright red spots on the chart. And what we've come to find is that price tends to respect these areas where there's a lot of trend lines intersecting, or where in other words, where the bright red spots are forming on the screen. So you can see we're kind of in this channel, sideways, downward kind of channel here. You can see price coming down, bouncing off these bright red spots on the chart, coming up, testing these other bright red spots, and then you can see we kind of broke through that support here. And we're getting some other potential areas of support and resistance. So that's the trends. Then you've also got the volume by price. This is going to just go ahead and focus on, show you areas or volume profile of where there's a lot of volume being traded at and at what price level, right, based on the chart. So based on these 320 candles, this is the volume profile of the 5-minute chart here. Then you've also got your icons right below the toolbar here. You've got this first icon opens up this chart settings menu. You can edit up and down colors, the chart type here, show crosshairs, show market price, linear, logarithmic scale, display extended hours, display session breaks. You can also do some of those functions from right up here. With the second icon, you can add separation of trading lines so you can see where each day begins and ends. Third icon here is going to add in non-regular trading hours so you can look at post and pre-market data on your charts as well. You can also add in this highlight breakout detection on your trend line. So if I turn my trends on here and click on this add highlight breakout detection, it's going to highlight on the chart when and where we get a break up or a breakdown on these trend lines. So a green circle is a break up, a red circle is a breakdown, break up, breakdown, and then you can see another breakdown over here. Then you've also got this logarithmic and linear toggle. You can click right here next to the highlight breakouts. You can toggle between those. And then you've also got your drawing feature. Keep in mind, any of these drawing features is going to have a property menu. You can access some of this customization. So you hope to draw a trend line, just hover over draw, click trend line, click 2 points on the chart. It's going to plop a trend line in the screen here. You can right click, hit properties, or just double click. Opens up the same properties menu. You can edit the color of it again as well, change the thickness of the line, thinness of it. Same thing for horizontal lines. You can go ahead, plop that line in there, double click, add a text to it, change the thickness of the line. You know, if you had an entry here, you could plop that in on the chart there. You also got this vertical line here that interacts with these lower indicators. So if I plot this vertical line here on this particular point on the chart, right click and hit highlight interactions with labels, it's going to actually highlight on the chart what these indicators were reading at that point in time. You can highlight that. You've also got some text boxes, rectangles, circles, and some measuring moves and things like that. So that's pretty much the platform. A few other things to note with the platform: you've got your watch list here in the top right. You can filter it by percent change, price, and symbol. You can also click on the three dots here, edit, create, delete new watch list here. You can also tell TrendSpider to filter your watch list with or without post and pre-market data. So if you want to look at your watch list with post and pre-market data, you can just turn on that clock in there. You can also quickly add and take off things on your watch list by clicking on the star here in the top left. You also have got your color theme in which you can change. So if you click on your name in the top right, go to color theme, you've got these options here. And then you've also got this switch workspace right below that. So right now, let's say this is my day trading setup, and I've got my 5-minute versus 2-hour chart with my trend lines and my Fibonacci's, and let's say this is just my setup here. Well, if I click on my name and go to switch workspace layout, it's going to open up the switch workspace screen, and I can go to my swing trade setup. It's going to open up a different chart with different workspace, different indicators, and different time frames, all this stuff. So if you notice here, I'm on the daily versus weekly. I'm on Fibonacci candles. I've got 4 lower indicators with a bunch of different SMAs on the screen. Completely different setup, right? So you've got that option, and we've got a bunch of different workspace layouts. So guys, that's pretty much the platform. If you do have any other questions, feel free to reach out to us. We've got a chat with the human in the bottom right. Let us know what you guys think. And if you guys have any other questions, go ahead and hit us up in that chat, or you can email us hello@trendspider.com. My name is Zach, and thanks for hanging out with us. Take care.